Good morning and a very, very warm welcome to today's webinar. So today we're going to be giving you a bit of a sneak peek into our members club. But before we get started, I just wanted to preface this with a bit of a update in terms of the fact that we're currently rebranding. So we're currently going through a renaming and rebranding process, which will take place in the whole over the summer in preparation for September. But just bear that in mind when I show you around our members club today, because a lot of it is still in our old or previous format, but we are slowly moving everything over to the 360 governance rebrand. So just bear that in mind. And we're also changing things up this year. So I will be, or for next year, I should say, so again, bear that in mind when we talk things through, but I'll try and pick up any changes that are coming up as we go along as well. Okay, so hopefully you can see that screen okay. Now, this is what our current members club looks like. Okay, so this is in our current branding. And again, this is all going to look very different come September when we move across, and we're doing a whole kind of streamlining, updating process along with that. So things will look a bit different, but hopefully for the better. So I just wanted to say as well, I wanted to talk a little bit about why we started the members club. So back in, I think it was 2019, I was a clerk, still am a clerk, and I was working for multiple boards. I started going self-employed. I started realizing that, I actually came from the academy background to begin with and went into the maintain sector, and I started to realize there was real differences here. I started to feel like I didn't really know where to go for help and support. And not only kind of, I could go on training courses, things like that, but I wanted those really practical, actionable steps and that person who really understood what I was asking and what I was trying to get out of it as well. So I started creating my own sort of resources for my own use. Mainly looking at the differences between, say, academies and maintained schools, things like that, but also at that time it was very much looking into I'd spent the last sort of previous 5-6 years working with converting schools into academies, and multi-academy trusts were starting to come up and all that sort of side of things. So I had a lot of experience, but it wasn't kind of all fitting together. So I started creating my own sort of bits. Anyway, fast forward, I started then sharing that with people, and I started doing that on a kind of one-to-one individual basis. And I realized that that was getting a little bit repetitive. I was only able to kind of give so much time to doing that. So I started then with my webinars and doing the Clark of Confidence workshop. So that's where they kind of came about. But again, that's only so much you can give, and they're very kind of, every so often. So they're once every short term, so 6 times a year. And I wanted to try and give a bit more than that. And that's really where the idea of the Members Club came about, as this place where, we could not only share additional learning and additional experiences as a group, but also share those resources, and that's not just my resources, that other people share things as well, and their experiences, their expertise, and we all kind of came together, and it's kind of just grown from there. Now we have developed it over the years, so every year it changes slightly. So I think the first members club was in 2022, and it looks very different now from when it started. And I think this coming year again is a real, even with the rebrand, is happening for a reason. So things are kind of changing again for the better, I think, and we're taking this new step. And, some of the work we've been doing this current year is around developing this values-based business and, really kind of honing into the reason why we started, and what we want to kind of, give back, what we want to achieve in terms of supporting our community. So with that, one of our values, one of our aims for the business is belonging, because I know that, something I hear time and time again is around, you can sometimes feel a bit segregated, it's quite lonely, don't always know who to, you don't have anyone just to pick up the phone and ask a quick question to, and things like that. And it's, governance is not straightforward. It's always, you do this, unless it's this, or there might be this, there's always a kind of grey areas. So that's, for me, that's a real key value is that belonging, having that support system in place, and we can support each other as well. So that's what we really want to kind of focus on this coming year, is that belonging, really, really focusing on that community element, and bringing everybody into our sort of 360 governance family, and bringing us all together. So that's a little bit of a kind of whistle-top tour of where we come from, but also what we're kind of aiming to do. So again, what you'll see today is kind of a snapshot of where we are, but actually there's so much more that we're doing behind the scenes to bring that. So I'm really excited for next year's Members Club, and I can't wait to kind of invite you all into it and hopefully see you lots over the next year and give you that sort of dedicated support as well. Okay, so let's show you where we're at, but also what we've kind of got planned. So I've got two screens, so apologies if I'm looking away at any time. So my main sort of sharing screen is over here, so I look like I'm not talking to you. Okay, so this is what it looks like if you currently log into our Members Club site. Now, there has been, I've been thinking a lot about how we access information in terms of, whether it's easiest to have a website or use a platform like GVO, or there's lots and lots of different ways you can host a members club. So hopefully, again, that will become a bit more simpler, a bit more refined. But again, always invite feedback and what works for you guys, because that's the most important thing at the end of the day. Okay, so our members club does have an exclusive helpline here. And that's something we're developing again more for next year, with some FAQs, but also, literally a dedicated helpline. So if you've got any questions at all, you can always contact us and we'll aim to get back to you within a certain time period. We're also developing, sorry, I'm thinking of things as I go through at the moment. This is not very planned, so it's going to be a little bit off the cuff. But we're also planning to create a members club vault, okay, which basically will be like a searchable spreadsheet for ease of content. So if you're looking for something like governor recruitment, then you can pop that into the search. And it will bring up everything. So that might be a blog post, that might be an online training that you can listen to, that might be resources, that might be part of our Q&A sort of questions that people ask and things like that. It might be a podcast recording. So you can see the sort of resources that are available. So rather than having to sort of spend time looking around and trying to think where on earth all those things are, it will tell you, it will give you that summary of where you can find information. It might be on our dashboard, it might be one of our sort of automated checklists on a dashboard and things like that. So that's something we're developing. But yes, that helpline is going to be really key, along with the vault, to access that key information as quickly as possible. So these are the current areas of the main members club. Again, this is going to develop for next year. So you can see you can always get your direct links and things to upcoming masterclasses and also our free workshops as well. We'll have a look at some of these in a moment, but we also have then our sort of content bank, our toolkit, that's all our resources, our Clarkhead Confidence Academy, and then our private podcast, which I have to admit haven't done as much as I want to this year. So that's something I'm sort of rehashing for next year. So watch this space on there. And then we also have a private Facebook page as well. Okay, so if we take a look at some of these pages, just to give you an example. So this is our current content bank. So again, working on the layout of this. So now that we've got so much content, I want this to look a bit neater and a bit more user-friendly in terms of finding that information, locating that information, rather than having to search through. So you can see at the moment it's literally a list of workshops that take place that you can always access, and then there's historic content as well. But again, we're kind of rehashing how that looks in terms of, being able to find information much more quickly and easier rather than having to sort of search through. So that'd be partly through the vault and partly how we present it on this website. Okay. Now our toolkit is a really popular area of the members club. So this is where we share all our resources and those resources as well that other people have shared with us, and they're happy to obviously share with our members. So we have copies of all our newsletters there, if that's something, because they have helpful links in them as well, if that's something that you want to look at. And then these are the current areas, but again, we're kind of rehashing all of this. Every single resource is being updated because of the rebranding. Everything is being reviewed, rewritten, updated, refined, streamlined, etc. So it's a huge summer job for us. But this is the sort of areas that we currently have available. And if I give you an example of what happens, so when you go into one of these sites, it will just take you straight to our SharePoint, and you're able then to see all these. And obviously you can you can view these how you want if you prefer to have them as in a different view, for example. But that's just an example of our current resources. But again, we're looking at how we kind of present that in terms of making that simpler. And again, the vault there is going to come in really useful because it will take you straight to that resource rather than having to search through everything. Another thing that we're developing this year, again, is our Clerk of Confidence Academy. So at the moment, this is very much made up of modules. You can see that we've started gently doing the rebranding here, but actually this is all going to have a complete rehash as well. But essentially what it's made up of at the moment is it kind of links you back to past workshops, and some of the resources are tailor-made for the Clerk and Confidence Academy. Others are directly linked to previous workshops. The other way that you can access the Academy is through a site called Thinkific, which is a much more kind of course-friendly site, and it gives you all the different kind of guidance, summaries, things like that. So again, that's another way. But again, we're kind of reviewing how we do that. And my aim for the Clerk and Confidence Academy is to make it a bespoke, completely separate element, so that we're not then just tying back to old workshops, but they are literally standalone, self-recorded, you can have a sort of 20-minute summary one, but also there's the longer one which goes into more detail. So again, that's going to be a big job, which will start over the summer and it will carry on into next year. And that will be something that if you complete the course, then you're able to have like a certificate and things as well for each of those modules. It's very much built to be cherry pick, so you don't have to do it all. You can, if you want to, do the whole thing. You can take yourself right way through our course, or like I said, you can then cherry pick and say, actually, I want to, focus on, say, policy management. So I'm going to do the module on policy management, and again, then you get that certificate for policy management. But if you do the whole thing, then obviously you get the certificate for the whole thing as well. It's worth saying that this is not currently accredited, so it's that's something that we're aiming towards, but it's quite a big thing to become accredited. So it is something that we're looking at, and we definitely want to invest in doing that this year, but it does take time. So at the moment, it is just an internal thing. Obviously, we're very happy to give you certificates and things like that, and that recognition that you've completed the course. And I hope that, in time that will become accredited, and we can then sort of backdate those hopefully as well. But that's another area that we're very much developing. So at the moment, like I said, a lot of the things link back to our workbooks, which is traditionally how we present all our training and things. So these work through the different kind of paper elements, if you like, but then they also include then links to resources and things. And the focus here, as with everything that we do, is very much on taking actionable steps. So it's all very well having the theory behind it, but actually, what does this mean in reality? What can I do to actually make my life easier, to make my role better, to make things more effective and streamlined? My aim in life in general is to try and make things as simple as possible. And there's so much crossover, but we try and streamline as much as we can. There's always information about every single different type of school. So regardless of whether you're an academy or a maintained, or you want to do a bit of both, everything is always covered, and there's always lots of different examples, workable examples as well. Okay, so again, all of those are getting rebranded. So if I show you a little bit of what the kind of newer format, I think it's this one. Yeah, this is more what we're kind of working towards. So some of these have already been started, and these are now being renamed as well. So we're, as part of the members club and part of our sort of additional offers, what I want to develop is effectively a clerking of confidence or a governance professionals playbook. Okay, so that's something that I'm working on as a standalone project, but actually it's working very much into the members club, because the members club will have the availability to all the playbook material, the digital material for free. Whereas if you're outside of the members club, then that's something that you could, if you wanted to, purchase either in hard copy or in digital. But if you're part of the members club, then you get all of that as part of your subscription. So this is just sort of an example of our more updated branding and what the workbooks look like. So these ones are playbooks, I should say. These ones are much simpler. They're very much, like I said, focused on taking actionable steps. We've streamlined everything. It's a real kind of bite-size take on things. So that will go alongside then the more in-depth training and resources and things like that. But this is something we're kind of working on. So this is the sort of format that you'll start to become familiar with. We've already started doing our clerk and confidence workshops in this in this kind of format as well. So that's the kind of thing we're aiming for. Okay, so that's a very quick look. So again, it is going to look quite different, but just to kind of show you the sorts of things that we have in the current membership, but also, like I said, how we're developing that. So they are going to look quite different. What was the other thing I was going to say to you? Okay, so before I go on to what we're offering for next year, just tick off my little list. I've talked about the vault. I've talked about that as well. I just wanted to show you, one of the biggest things that we offered to this year, and this very much was, well, it still is really in its pilot stage, but we are starting to get to a point where it's much more kind of refined, and we've had a lot of feedback. So again, we're kind of rehashing things over the summer, but this is something that we introduced at the latter end of this academic year, and very much is going to be a big area of focus for us next year. And again, as part of the members club, you have access to this for free. It's, what I'm going to show you now is very much a sort of a template, but what we're going to have is a members area, which all our members will be a part of if they want to. And again, this is part of our refining, how people access like resources and things, whether it's through this dashboard or whether it's through our website. It might be a bit of both. So again, we're going to kind of streamline that and get some feedback on that as well. But also the key thing here is that you'll get access to this kind of dashboard template, which we can then work with you to make bespoke to your board or your boards. So it's designed to have multiple or single boards. Okay, so this is very much, like I said, the template, which I'm going to show you quickly now. But this is my sort of big current passion project. It's something that we use for our clients. So it is very much a usable thing. And I'm just very, very excited about it. So this is our 360 governance dashboard, okay? And essentially, you know, we could literally give you access to something like this, which you can then work on, or we can work with you on to create for your board. But also, if you're a part of the members club, then it will give you things like, if you think about our planner, it kind of gives you all of that kind of stuff, but online. So, for example, autumn tasks here. Obviously, this is not completely filled in yet, but we'll give you a list of all the things that we think are pertinent to the autumn term in terms of tasks for you guys. You can then add your own, you can make it bespoke and things, but there'll be a place where you can do that. Also things like key guidance. Again, this is nowhere near finished, but just an example of things where we can put those key information in one place. It's like a one-stop shop. That's all our tagline for this. And then our toolkit as well. So again, looks a little bit like what our vault is going to look like. So there's NGA stuff. I mean, this is taken from our current one, but there's going to be lots of different documents here, and you'll be able to there'll be a link, or there'll be a document that you can view straight away and you can download and things. So this is kind of what the vault is going to be built upon. But again, this is just an example at the moment. So you can see that we're kind of building this kind of one place where you can get all your information. Now, if we go back to the dashboard itself, so the way this is designed is that it is designed to be your admin support, if you like, your background admin support. So it is, I think about things like Governor Hub and GVO as kind of outward facing. So there's a very much preparing for your governors, your meetings, that outward looking at policy management in terms of links and things. This is very much behind the scenes. So they're very much designed to work alongside your current whether even that SharePoint, this is very much designed to work alongside that. Okay, so there's an option there if you want to manage your tasks and things on here. We'll come back to the dashboard in a second. You might have some key information there. So again, it's kind of mimicking some of those pages from the planner. So again, it's built to work alongside that. But I use mine all the time, and I can't remember a login for GaiaS or for a client or for Companies House or whatever that looks like. It's all on here, and it's all secure because you have to log in. So or you can put a prompt. You don't have to put your exact password, for example. So that's all on there, and then there's a space there if you want to take notes and things. So again, we're developing this, but it's kind of you can see the bare bones of it. I'm going to come back to the dashboard element in a second. So the main, other than your kind of key information, your tasks, things like that, the main part of this dashboard is our trackers. Okay, this is something that I'm really, really proud of. It's something that we've worked really hard on to develop, and it's the sort of thing that if you love an Excel spreadsheet, then you'll love these trackers. Okay, because they're basically a pimped up version of those. So again, you might have your sort of key documents in here. So straight away, you can see like annual business plan. You might have your articles, so you don't have to keep searching for it. You don't have to look online. You don't have to remember you saved it on SharePoint. It's all in one place. So you might have your annual business plan, for example, here, that you can refer back to in terms of reference, all those sorts of things, and any notes as well. So it's all in one place. Okay, so it's no longer on your notebook randomly or in some minutes somewhere that you need to search for. It's all in one place. Register of Governance Tracker. So, I'm not going to go through this in huge detail because this is something that we could be training on as well for our members. But essentially, it's designed to not only track your governors, so you'd have their name here and you'd have all their information to go along, all their information, including meeting attendance and all that sort of thing. But it's actually designed as well to form your downloadable register of governance. So you can download this into Excel, make a few tweaks to make it, bespoke to your school or your board, and then that is what you'd PDF and upload to your website. So it's designed to do, not only your kind of your tracker, but also then to be that statutory information as well. It also works on automation. So, for example, if I got a new governor and I change them to active, then straight away it gives me this suggested list. This is quite lengthy, so this is a little bit belt and braces, but we can simplify this for you if you wish. But it straight away gives me this onboarding list for that governor. Okay, so again, you can work your way through all of those, and exactly the same if that governor then leaves, then you change them to expired, and it gives me their suggested offboarding list. Okay, oops. And you can report on all these things as well. So if if that's something that your board like to know, then you've got that reference as well. Okay, and there's lots of clever things you can do on here. You can color code to make it really, so for example, if, oops, that's the wrong thing. If there's any gaps in anywhere, then you can ask it to flag, a bit like conditional formatting and in Excel. So there's lots of things we can add in there for you as well. Just to show you some of these other ones. So you've got like meeting tracker. So again, you can kind of pop all your meetings in, you can sort them, and then also you can have that calendar view as well. If I go to the month where they are, I can't remember when they are, and if I put them September 24, okay. Let's just change that to 25, and then it'll be a bit easier if we just show you. Whoops. 2025, there we go. No, doesn't want to change. What does not want to change? 25. There we go. So then, oops. There we go. So it shows up in here, and you can color code it by clerk or by type of meeting or whatever it is. So you've got your sort of calendar there. It also takes you, again, once you've changed these statuses, it gives you this suggested list. Again, it's quite belt and braces, so that can be massively simplified. But it gives you this literally walkthrough list of all our meeting preparation. Okay. Now, the compliance tracker is a biggie for me. This is a huge, I literally use this for all our clients. And it takes you through exactly what we need to have in place. Okay. And then it takes you through as well what needs to be checked annually, what needs to be checked termly. So again, and then it gives you this ability to put in links, notes, actions, all this jazz and things. And then what it does in a moment, I'll show you, is it then gives you a lovely report as well. Our policy tracker has been another popular one. So again, you can sort these and you can filter. So if you just want to look at your statutory ones, for example, then you can, do that. And it's just a starting point. So this is very much a basis, but we can work with you to do that. And again, all these can be made into reports so that you could then send a report to your board, say where we are with policies, what's coming up, etc., and so forth. Okay. We're developing a training tracker at the moment, so that's kind of something that we're working on currently. And then there's also other trackers that we've got. So we've got complaints tracker, all these other things that we're kind of working on in the background, which we'll add to as once they've been kind of proofed and checked, then we'll add them to the offer as well. But one of the lovely things this all does, so you've got all your lovely trackers, which you can use one or you can use all of them, and then what it does is it brings you back to this lovely dashboard. So for example, this board is not very compliant, but it gives you this kind of snapshot of where we're at with everything. And again, this is all customizable, so we can make this specific to how you want. So it's meant to be a kind of, if you come into school on a Monday morning or at home and you're tapping in, then you could potentially have like your tasks on here. So for example, my dashboard here, it might tell me, this is obviously an older one, but it will tell me, how many days I've got left of term, any key links that I use regularly. It's going to have a snapshot of your task, which you can filter so that only, say, that day, you can say only show me the ones that are due this week, for example, or something. And that could include meeting prep, all sorts of things. So, and also your autumn tasks. So again, you can keep on top of your termly bits, your calendar. So it's that snapshot of where you are. So that is very much personal to you. And then this is very much a snapshot of where your board is at as well. Okay, so that's a very quick look at the governance dashboard, which, as I said, is still a very much a sort of passion project, a work in progress, but it is something that we're going to really push for next year. And again, this is something that we might use this type of format for our members club as well. So you can see I've been kind of trialing how this might look a little bit, but we'll kind of be guided by you guys. But I think this could be a nice place to host part of the members club as well. So it's got all our links and things. Again, this is very much just me playing about and seeing what would work, our toolkit resources, our vault, things like that. Meetings in terms of our toolkit in terms of those key information and things as well. So yeah, it's very much trial and error at the moment, but that's the kind of thing that we're aiming for. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to leave it on that page whilst I talk through quickly some of the things that are coming up for next year. So, most importantly, what do you get as part of our members club? What benefits do you get from joining? So you get, as well as access to all of this toolkit element, resources, past workshops, things like that. You also get our termly live and recorded masterclasses. So those are very much more in-depth. So the Clerk of Confidence workshops are kind of designed to be very timely in terms of what's coming up this term, etc., any national updates, and then a snapshot, a little bit of training, and the masterclasses are much more kind of in-depth, much more resource-based, much more practical. What can we do with this information? Much more collaborative. And we come up with what we think would be good to cover, but we very much listen to our community. So if there's something that you particularly want covered, then we'll always try and fit that in some way. The other thing that we're introducing for this next year is what we're calling bonus webinars, and they're much shorter, online. Again, they'll probably be live, but we'll record them as well. And those are the sorts of things that we wouldn't usually cover with like a masterclass, because a masterclass is for quite big subjects, I would say, but shorter kind of snippets of stuff that's really important. So, for example, I want to do one on AI and how we're starting to use AI to support our elements of our role. I want to look at understanding articles of association and picking what your articles look like if you're in an academy trust. All those sorts of smaller things maybe that come up. If we're having particular questions asked, then that might then turn into a webinar. So those will be, there'll probably be at least 3, probably more like 6. So you're getting those additional things. So again, they'll come as part of our vault. So you can always search for something, and it might be a bit more nuanced than we would usually cover in our masterclasses. Our toolkit, as I've said, is being completely updated, refreshed into our new branding. Everything's being checked, streamlined, updated with current guidance and things. So that's all happening. So you have access to all of that. And again, that vault element is going to come in really handy for searching for information and resources and whatever else we have. All our workshops and workbooks and stuff, all of those you'll always have access to. Our Clerk and Confidence Workshop Academy, sorry. So again, that's something that we've kind of started on and got to a point, but I really want to push that forward this year and really make it into this usable online course that you can either, like I said, do the whole thing, or you can cherry pick bits that are pertinent to you. So if you're a very new clerk, that might look quite different from if you're a more established clerk and you want to maybe go into more succession planning, business planning, that sort of strategic element. Whereas, as a new clerk, you might just want to know, what do I need to do first? You do get first looks at anything. So every time we introduce something new, like the playbook or the dashboard, then you'll always get the first look into that. You also get exclusive discounts. So generally you get 20% off everything that we do. So whether that's a planner or if you wanted to purchase the playbook in physical form, for example, then you'd always get an exclusive discount as part of the members club for that as well. The governance dashboard we've already showed you, so at the moment that is only available to our members. That is not available outside of the membership at all at the moment. It might be that in a year's time it's ready to go out into the general public, but at the moment it's not. It's very much something that we're keeping within the members club, but you get that for free as part of your membership. Okay, so that's a huge saving already if that's something that we obviously put out into the public later on. Our new helpline and FAQ section, so again that's something I really want to develop in terms of that. We're always here for support, and we do we do jump on calls and have one-on-one kind of conversations with people, but it's something that we really want to kind of push out and advertise more and invite you into doing that more as part of our offer. Our new governance visual playbook, like I said, that's coming out, and you'll have free access to download that, either in whole or in modules. So the new podcast, so again, we're going to revamp that, rehash it, and that's just a kind of a bit of a sort of, they're meant to be sort of short, 10-20 minute maximum podcasts. So if that's your preferred way of learning or getting information, then we're making sure that they come out a lot more consistently and a bit of fun as well. New coaching and mentoring opportunities. So I've sort of mentioned through the helpline already that we do kind of offer this, but what we're actually going to do this year, we're still hashing out the details, but what my aim is to offer every single member at least one, if not maybe a couple, maybe three, I'm not sure, coaching sessions that they can book in, or like mentoring opportunities. So for example, if you're having a real issue with policies and you really want to sit down and kind of hash that out with us, then you can book in a session with us and we can go through that with you with a fine-tooth comb. So that's the sort of thing we're looking at, because we kind of do it already, but we don't really advertise it, and we have to kind of obviously, we have to manage our own time as well, and capacity. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, something like that, but that will become much more clear once we sort of map that out, what that's going to look like. We are also looking at developing a new online forum, so we're toying with the idea of using GVO for that. So we kind of trial GVO for our members club, but it wasn't quite working, but I think the forum aspect could be really good. But you would access that through either the dashboard or through the members club website, so there'd be like a direct link always back to the forum, and then you can opt in or out of having those updates when people ask questions, things like that. So again, that's really something we want to focus on this year, is being that sort of support as a community as well. What else was I going to say? Oh, the other thing, so someone actually gave me this idea, or suggested this, and I think it's a brilliant idea, is to have like downloadable cheat sheets. So again, this is something that we'll probably have for sale for the public, but within the members club they'll be available for free. So it'll almost be like a autumn 1 cheat sheet, and here's the main things that you need to do, or a policy cheat sheet, or something like that. We're still kind of hashing out what that exactly looks like, but I think that would be really exciting. I've mentioned about getting discounts already. Yes, there's those more. It's just, it's a case of coming in and being part of. I think being part of that community is a huge aspect of it. Okay, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. So as obvious, I would love to have you part of our members club. Our current members are fantastic. We are at the moment only opening twice a year, so we open from the summer to early autumn, and then we open again in spring. So I think we're probably going to do that again this year. That worked quite well. We really want to kind of form relationships, personal, professional relationships with our members, if that's something that you want to do. Obviously completely up to you guys. So it is a small group, and I think that works really well, because we are able to support each other. You know, we want to invite you into our 360 family, and be that kind of, you know, be your co-workers, rather than just like another group of, you know, it's not just networking, it's a family, and it's very much a, like I said, you know, I see you guys as colleagues and co-workers, and I'd love to invite you into that. So what I'd like to offer you today is 10% off the members club if you sign up before the 18th of July. Okay, so if you sign up before a week on Friday, then I'll offer you 10% off. That's 10% off the monthly payments, but also 10% off the annual payment as well, as a special offer. If you would like to take that offer, then all you need to do is pop me an email with the code, which I will share with you in a second, and I will send you the direct link to be able to access that. So, but it must be accessed before the 18th of July. And although that will technically start your membership from September, you will have direct access to everything. But bear in mind, there's a lot of changes happening over the summer. So, you know, although you will have access, it will look very different over the summer as well. So, you know, just bear that in mind. So the code, if you want to be part of that, is simply summer 25. Summer 25. So pop me an email or a message on Facebook, or however you want to do it, with that summer 25. I'll put all this detail in a post as well, and also onto our email list. If you're not part of that, then it's worth signing up. Summer 25, send that to contact@proclarking.co.uk or contact@360gov.co.uk. We'll get both of those, and you will receive the direct link to 10% off, and that'll be 10% off either if you choose to pay in monthly installments or as a one-off payment. Okay, so as an exclusive offer, even if you're part of the founders club, you'll still get 10% off in addition to your usual founders discount as well. Okay, so I'd really love to invite you to ask any questions. You can see the email address. If I just get this screen up here, email address is there, contact@360gov.co.uk. Please, please, please just ask us any questions and we'll get back to you as soon as we can, noting that we will be breaking for summer after next Friday, but we'll still be around and very much working in the background. And I hope you'll have a wonderful summer break, and I very much look forward to hopefully seeing you at our next year's Members Club.